Hey, mompreneurs, and welcome back to the show. This is Remix Moments with Martine's episode. And I'm your host, Martine. If this is your first episode, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the community. And today we are diving into a topic that is so important as we move into February. Happy February. January was literally the longest month, I feel like. We've lived a whole year in January. But we're going to talk about why discipline will always beat willpower. And maybe you've heard that before, and maybe you're like, yeah. But I want you to think about this. If you're feeling like your motivation is fading, or you're trying to muscle your way through goals, kind of white knuckling it, stick around because this episode is for you. So let's start with the big question. How many times have you told yourself, I just need more willpower? If you're nodding along, you're not alone. But here's the thing. Willpower is not the key to reaching your goals. In fact, relying on it too much is exactly what leads to exhaustion and burnout. So let's unpack this together. Welcome to Remix Moments with Martine, where we will remix your mindset one moment at a time. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and I'm here to bring you a quick burst of inspiration, insight, and a fresh spin on your mompreneur journey. In just a few minutes, we'll remix your mindset, energize your day, and keep you moving forward with purpose. Let's dive in to today's moment. Now, it's February, and we know statistically by this point, there are very few people, you heard me share the stat before, who are still working towards their New Year's resolutions. They're still working towards their goals because, especially if you have been relying on motivation, relying on willpower. But willpower does lead to exhaustion. So here's the deal. Willpower is a lot like a muscle, right? It gets tired the more you use it. Every time you're making a decision, whether it's choosing to eat the salad instead of the French fries, deciding whether to work out, or even telling yourself not to scroll on social media, you're using willpower. And I want you to think of it as a battery that drains throughout the day. And once it's gone, that's when the burnout creeps in. You're tired, you're overwhelmed, and suddenly even the smallest of decisions feels impossible. Decision fatigue is a real thing, and willpower is what leads to that. And let's be real, as mompreneurs, we already have so much on our plates, and we're making decisions all day long for our businesses, our families, for ourselves. And so when we try to rely on willpower to stick to our goals, it's no wonder we feel exhausted. But here's the good news. There's a better way. And it's called discipline. And you might not like that word either, but I say it all the time. Discipline makes me do it. Discipline makes me do it. So the discipline advantage is, unlike willpower, discipline doesn't rely on constant decision-making. It's about creating habits and systems that automate your success. So here's an example. Let's say that you want to exercise every morning. If you're relying on willpower, every single morning you're waking up and you're asking, should I work out today? And some mornings the answer might be no, because you're tired. Or it's cold out, it just snowed here. Or you're just not in the mood. But if you've built the discipline of working out every morning, it becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. And we talked about this in a previous episode. And if you missed it, you want to go back. But we talked about the who before the how. Who you're becoming, who you need to become a person of discipline. You're becoming a disciplined person. And someone who's disciplined doesn't have to decide whether she's going to work out or not. It's just who she is because who he is because you're disciplined in that area of your life. You don't waste energy deciding. You just do it because it's who you are. It's the disciplined part of you that's there. And that's the magic of discipline. It removes that decision fatigue and creates consistency. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when motivation fades. It's what allows you to build momentum. And over time, those small, consistent actions add up to big results. Now listen, this is where having a coach, and I'm just going to interject here a little bit. This is where having a coach comes into play because it is and can be hard, uncomfortable. It's not always fun, not always easy to start something new like exercise. But I want you to hear this. It will not always be this hard. You will get stronger. You will become more disciplined. It will become who you are. But what happens is because you don't have support and you are just focused on how you feel or the motivation or the willpower, that you stop just short of pushing through that wall, that breakthrough moment that you need to where it becomes a discipline. You don't allow yourself to go all the way through the finish line. And what helps you go all the way through the finish line is having accountability. It's having someone to check your thoughts, to help you to reframe your thoughts about it, for someone to help you to understand and anchor this new habit to an old habit. That's the beauty of coaching. That's the beauty of having a coach, whether it's a personal trainer or a life coach, like what I do. We talk about these things. I have several clients that are working on their physical health right now. It's an area of focus of them for 2025. And so when they come to the call, we're not just talking about their exercise and what they did and what they do. We're talking about who they're becoming. And I'm helping them to push through those hard days, those uncomfortable days, the days they just don't feel like doing it. I'm helping them push through, because once you break through that, and it becomes a daily discipline of yours, I promise you it will not be as hard as it is right now. But we avoid the hard. We don't want to go through the hard. We give up on ourselves. And then you go through the shame cycle of beating yourself up. Oh, I set that resolution again, and then I didn't follow through with it. That doesn't feel good either. That doesn't create a productive discipline or help you move forward. And so these are the kinds of things that happen when you're having a coaching call, when you're on a call with someone who can look at your thoughts and see your thoughts and help you clean them up and help you hold accountable to what you said you wanted to do, even when the feeling of excitement when you said it is gone. That's what happens. That's what motivation does. That's what willpower does. Willpower, you get tired because of the decision. Motivation gets gone. And so that's where having someone to help you stick with it until it becomes a discipline. So how do we shift from willpower to discipline? Hey friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up, and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
When I started coaching with Martine, I was extremely burned out, overwhelmed, very stressed, and I knew I needed to make some changes. So I reached out, and over the course of time, she helped me realize that I needed to take back control of my schedule, create boundaries, and then along the way, I had a huge transition in my business, and she helped me figure out my next steps and help me structure a new business. And she's been there for me and been able to help guide me with her advice and her knowledge. Without her, I could not be where I am today.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with free times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show. So how do we shift from willpower to discipline? And here's the key. Start small. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Start small. The key to create systems and routines that align with your goals. That's the key. Create the systems and routines that align with your goals. So here's how. Number 1, pick one habit to focus on. We've talked about this before in the podcast, but instead of trying to overhaul your entire life, start with one non-negotiable habit. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning or setting aside 15 minutes for focused work every day. The second one is to create triggers for your habits. Pair your habit with something you already do. For example, if you want to start journaling, and y'all, I used to do this, I would place my journal right over the sink where I brush my teeth. I'm not thinking about having to brush my teeth every morning. It's just a discipline, thank goodness, for all of us. And so it's just something that you do because you've done it forever, right? It's who you are. You're a person who brushes their teeth. And so I put my journal right over my sink. So it triggers me, oh, I want to create this new habit today. And so any way you can anchor an old habit or an established habit or an established discipline to your new one, the better your chances are of actually following through on that. We put so much pressure on ourselves to get it right and to just wake up one day not having this discipline and expect that we're just going to wake up and want to go do these things. You're not. So take that pressure off of yourself, but also set yourself up for success by creating these anchors or triggers for your new habits. Number 3, remove the need for decisions. Set yourself up for success by preparing in advance. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Plan your meals for the week or schedule your priorities in your calendar. The fewer decisions you have to make in the moment, the easier it is to stay consistent. And then number 4, celebrate progress and perfection. I feel like this is a part of every podcast episode that I do, but it's just so important for you to understand that discipline is not about being perfect. It's about showing up consistently, even when it's hard. Again, we're not trying to avoid the hard here. If you're trying to avoid the hard, you will not create a new discipline. You will not create new habits because it can be hard. Give yourself credit for the small wins because they are going to be what leads to the big change. So any progress on this, if you don't, exercise all 5 days of the week, but you hit 3, let's celebrate that. And let's work on getting that 4th and that 5th one in the coming weeks. And here's something you may not think about when I say these 2 words, self-care, there are probably a lot of things that go through your mind. Bubble baths, night out with the girls, massages, a spa day. But discipline is self-care. It's overlooked as that, but discipline is a form of self-care. When you build discipline, you're creating structure and predictability in your life. And that's huge for reducing overwhelm, especially if you're someone who has high pace or patience in your personality and you're used to processing things. You like a predictable environment. And so when you become disciplined, you're creating structure and predictability, and that reduces overwhelm. So instead of feeling scattered or reactive, you're in control. You're honoring your priorities without the constant mental tug of war. Should I do this? Should I do that? I don't feel like doing this, but I really want to have this result. For example, if you've disciplined yourself to set boundaries around your work hours, you're not staying up late finishing emails or sacrificing your family time. You've created space for what matters most, and that's a gift you're giving yourself. That's a form of self-care. Self-care is actually parenting yourself and making hard decisions sometimes and creating these boundaries and creating these new habits. That's all a form of self-care. So here's the bottom line. Willpower might get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. It's the secret to building habits that stick. It's the secret to reducing burnout and achieving your goals without feeling like you have to fight through every step of the way. So this week, I want to challenge you. Take a look at your life and ask yourself, where am I relying on willpower? Where am I avoiding the hard and I just need to push through a little bit longer? What's one small step that you can take to introduce discipline instead? Maybe it's creating a morning routine. Maybe it's setting boundaries around your time or simply committing to one small, consistent action. Remember, discipline is a gift you give yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about who you're becoming. You are becoming a disciplined person in XYZ area, whichever area you're trying to focus on. That's who you're becoming. And if you could think of it in that way, the overall vision, this is who you're becoming. It's not just something you're doing. It's a person you're becoming. It makes it bigger and it will stick because Now you're just a person who's disciplined to exercise. Now you're just a person who's disciplined to meal prep. But let me just tell you, in the beginning, you're not going to feel like that. And that's why we give up and that's why we quit, is because we're basing it on a feeling of motivation or a willpower of just deciding every day versus it becoming a discipline. So if this resonated with you, this episode resonated with you, I want you to share it with a fellow mompreneur who needs this reminder. And if you didn't know, I have an email that I send out every single week. It's called my Mompreneur Glow Up. And it goes out every single week where we dive a little bit deeper into some of these topics and give you some more tools, give you some encouragement. And so I'd love for you to go and join that list. You go to martinewilliams.com and get on the Glow Up list for that. It goes out every single Monday. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts also on this episode. So you can come over to Instagram and let me know what you thought of this episode, what you're working on to become disciplined in. And it is me. It's not a bot. So you can go to @Martine31Williams. And until next time, mompreneurs, keep showing up for yourself and keep remixing your mindset one moment at a time. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Well, that's it, friends, for this remix moment. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me, and I hope that you are feeling inspired and ready to take on whatever comes your way. Remember, even small moments can lead to big changes. If this moment made a difference, be sure to subscribe, share with your fellow moms, and leave me a quick review. Seriously, it means the world to me to hear from you. And until next time, I am believing in you, and I will catch you in the next moment.